I know where you guys work, so taking that into account, can you please comment on kilts and accessories made overseas in places such as Pakistan? I know the upside, of course, is the low cost, but sometimes the downside seems to be the quality. What are your thoughts?
We'll start this with a disclaimer. We do not speak negatively of competitors. That has been a rule of USA Kilts from day one. We instilled that in every single employee.
Right.
Here's a little peek behind the curtain, as it were. I get emails probably 2 to 3 times a week from companies in Pakistan trying to sell us, have us carry their goods. Hey, we got the best prices on kilts. We have this, we have that, whatever. And the prices are very attractive, shall we say. And there are certain things that they do well and certain things that they do less well. So let's start with utility kilts. Now, because we don't make utility kilts, so I feel safe, putting this out there. As far as a utility kilt made in Pakistan, they're not bad. They're not that expensive compared to a US made one, but quality-wise, material-wise, they're not bad. There are things that I've seen on them that I would do differently. The finish on them, meaning like the overlocking, the serging effectively of the seams on the inside and that kind of stuff, could definitely be, upped a little bit, but that takes time, which takes money. But all in all, for the price of a Pakistani-made utility kilt, under $100 kind of price range, it's not a bad value. I'll put it that way. Now, when it comes to the tartan kilts under $100, they basically fall into 2 categories. They fall into acrylic or a wool acrylic blend, that kind of thing. Sometimes they call it a polyviscose material, and that's potentially a whole other animal, but it falls in the same kind of price point. Generally, I would say this. Here's the peak. When I get offers to buy kilts made in Pakistan, an acrylic kilt or the low-end kilts, tartan kilts, start at $15 to $20 landed. Pretty damn cheap. If I was doing those, including the cost of shipping, including the cost of customs, then double it for retail, you're looking at like $70, $80. So, but knowing the cost of the kilt itself is between $15 and $20. And I'm saying $15 to $20 because some offers are $15.50, some offers are $18, some offers are $20. So they come in at different prices. But what are you getting for $20 compared to what you get from material woven in the UK, compared to US labor, compared to all the fit and finish, compared to the buckles and the straps even? If half the price of the kilt is material, that's $10 for 2 yards, 2.5 yards of cloth. That's not a lot of money. In the same thing with labor. If it's $10 for the labor in a kilt, and this isn't even accounting for profit margins of the company in Pakistan. The costs are so much lower that it's very concerning for me from an aspect of what are you getting for the money, the quality for the money, and the amount of time it takes to make the thing. How much attention to detail. Are they just going as fast as they can to pump out the next widget to move on to the next one? Or are they taking time to match up the set exactly, match up the stripes exactly where they should be, measuring the front apron precisely so that it matches on the right and the left side. All these little tiny things. So it's one of those where I'm kind of rambling a bit, but it's one of those where, what do we think of them? I think they're fine for what they are, but what they are is inexpensive. So if my best friend came to me and said, look, and I didn't know the kilt company, and they said, look, I know you wear kilts, and I want to buy a kilt. I got $100 to spend. What am I going to get? I'll explain to them, look, you can get a kilt for under $100, but your expectations should be here, not here. You're going to get pre-made sizes. You're going to get acrylic fabric. It's not going to be the same color as the mills in the UK. It's not going to be the same. It'll be more vibrant putting it mildly on some cases. So there's a lot of differences, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just is what it is. If you don't have a lot of money and that's your only option to get started, fine, do it. But you shouldn't expect to be have your expectations up here. You're not getting a Lamborghini. You're getting a used car. Period. So it's one of those where, or an entry level car, not used because it's going to be still brand new, but you get the point. I'm rambling a little bit. Eric.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add except it really does come down to your intention with the kilts. Yes, if you need an entry, if you need a point of entry, and if you're unsure if you're going to get into this on a regular basis, so you don't want to spend a lot of money because it may be a once and done thing, like you wear it for that one weekend, and then you can't decide if you like it after all. It's an experiment. Then they can be very useful, but you have to be realistic about how long they're going to last. I think the materials in some ways are very scientific, like they're using very modern materials like interweaving glues, and they're using the acrylic blend fabrics, which are very theoretically washable. But yeah, I think that you may enjoy it when you get it out of the box and you wear it for a few times, but it's gonna the satisfaction curve is probably gonna go down pretty fast because the pleats will not stay in as well. The leather, from what I've seen, tends to be fairly thin. It's got that kind of cardboardy feel to it, so it tends to get rough pretty fast. Yeah, it is what it is. Like you said, it's a cheap kilt. It's great as a putting your toe into the pool. But you gotta be realistic about how long it's going to last and how it's going to look, how good it's going to look the longer you have it. It may look okay for a season at the Ren Fair, but it's not necessarily going to look great a year from now, 2 years from now, etc. as it starts to settle.
Age.
So it's, I think in that sense, I'm grateful because it is definitely a thing that has helped a lot of younger people, especially, get into it. It's like you got limited funds. If you can go and get a kilt for $50 and you get to scratch the itch, then fine. But be realistic. Basically.
Yeah, I'd add this as well. Starting there and rolling downhill a little bit. If this is your first kilt and you're not sure, touching on what Eric said, yes, I agree. It's not necessarily a bad thing to get a cheap kilt if you have no idea if you're ever going to wear this again. Where I would go with it after that is I wouldn't necessarily get a second one. At that point, if you get a first one and you find out that you like wearing kilts, then I would try to move up the scale a little bit. I would try to move up the scale to the next nicer level, or check out the different fabrics that are available out there, see the different options, and save up to get something that is going to last longer and that you're going to like a little bit more. If it's something custom, that's even better because it's fit to your exact body shape. So starting there is fine, but starting there, you don't end up there necessarily, would be my words of advice. It would be start there if that's all you can afford, fine, and then move your way up as you find that you like it and you want to do it more. So you're not investing money in something where it's just going to be a waste if you never want to wear it again. But at the same time, if you want to wear it for a longer period of time, you want to get something that's going to last longer, period.
Yeah. I think I will say this, it is important to realize that we're not talking about a monolith. It's not like every single kilt from overseas is coming out of the same factory. There aren't a lot of factories, but it's not all one operation. You may find there's variances in quality based on where it's coming from. I have a made overseas kilt I got from Stillwater. It was like the first wool kilt I ever bought, in fact. And it's okay. It's all right. The leather is really rough now. The fabric itself is okay. It's very rough, very scratchy. It is wool. It's not a wool acrylic, but it is 100% wool. But it's very scratchy, kind of rough. Not a great weave, but I still use it occasionally. If you relegate it to casual wear, rough and tumble stuff, like the classic favorite example is like if you're changing the oil on your car. That's what you like to always say, Rocky. Then it's fine. you know, I mean, and that was one of the first traditional type kilts that allowed me to get my feet wet, you know, and getting used to wearing that style of kilt as opposed to utility kilts, which is what I had worn before. So they definitely have their place. And as with any kilt product, do a little homework and do a little poking around the communities. Some people may say, well, I got one that was made over here from this company and it was meh. I got another one from this company that was made overseas and it's okay. The quality is going to vary. So,
yep. I'll say this. Since you brought it up, shout out to Jerry at a Stillwater Kilts. Jerry, the guy that owns Stillwater Kilts, is a very nice guy. The only real bugaboo that I have with companies that sell Pakistani kilts is where they try to pass them off as something that they're not, or they just kind of like hide the fact where they're made, or they downplay all that kind of angle to it. Jerry is very upfront about what he sells, where it comes from, what it is, what it's not, and he's a nice guy. He's just an honest broker, period. So it's not that we have an issue with Pakistani kilts, we have an issue with disreputable vendors more than anything.
Yeah, and that is one of the factors of that is there's been a convergence between people who are selling very cheap products and the people who are sourcing things for the sake of selling them to tourists in Scotland, like the infamous Royal Mile kilts. So just because something ships to you from Scotland, it doesn't necessarily mean it was made there. You need to be careful about that. As much as possible, do your homework on the company if you can. So what was the first kilt you ever wore like? Did you spend a lot of money on it and save up for it? Or did you pick it up off the street at a bargain basement shop? Tell us in the comments. We want to know what your experience was like. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications. If you're curious about kilt construction in general, check out this playlist over here. If you want some tips on buying a kilt, check out this video.